Intros. Hello! Right, we're live. Thank you for joining us. We are obviously live, as I said. I am Joe, Unity, Ramsey, and Karl. You guys, if you're watching this, you must have noticed by now. We're reading, we've read Lost Fleet Victorious, and we are now going to talk about it, spoil it, and all that stuff. I'm Joe. You know my channel because you're here. Ramsey, you just tell them who you are, just in case I don't know who you are.
My name is Ramsey. I do the Rajathon YouTube channel, and I do a lot of science fiction, fantasy book reviews, do some book tags, stuff like that, kind of standard booktube stuff. But really enjoying this series. This spoiler-filled live that we're doing is the last book in this initial series,
Yes.
And then we will go on to the next series, which is Dreadnought, which is Lost Fleet Beyond the Frontier. And that will start up. Do you guys want to take a month off on that one or no? We haven't talked about it.
Well, I don't.
Whatever's good for you guys.
I've got it, so I can start a month after.
Okay. So we will start that in April.
Yeah.
Yeah. If Ramsey's done, hello, friends, new and old. Karl from Geek on my sleeve. Been having a blast going through. This is a reread for me of the Lost Fleet series, and now I can finally do all the spoilers of this first series today in the stream. Super excited about that. Our channel, Geek on My Sleeve, hosted with my brother Pete. We pretty much do weekly book discussions, so I am so pumped that I get to do two of them today. One with these blokes, and then another one with Pete here in about an hour, where we talk about He Who Fights with Monsters. And I think, I actually found out about the Royal Road from you guys another time. Don't we have another friend that publishes on the Royal Road, something like that, or do they put it up on a different channel?
No, I did.
What was it? Captain who was on here. Anyway, Royal Road, a lot of hobbyists / aspiring writers publish on there. And the book we're talking about later had 13 million reads on the Royal Road and got published. We're all aspiring writers, so I'm going to have fun diving into that here in a little bit with Pete. But yeah, the Lost Fleet. We're
messaging people.
Where we hopping in? I can take off the.
Go for it. You're right. Well, from the beginning.
Spiller.
I mean,
spoiler.
Yeah,
we made it home.
You want me to do the summary real quick?
Oh, go on.
All right. Having returned to his fleet to Alliance space, Blackjack Geary is brought before the Alliance Senate and is nearly arrested, as it is assumed that he is returning as a conquering hero, planning to usurp control of the Alliance as a dictator. Instead, Captain Geary briefs the Alliance Senate on the entire journey of the fleet, as well as the alien race that was strongly implied to exist, including the fact that aliens have established killing devices in the form of every hypernet gate in existence. In Alliance and Syndic territory, a captured Syndic CEO confirms the existence of the alien race and that they've been responsible for the total destruction of every human they've encountered, and have begun to encroach aggressively into Syndic territory. Geary is promoted to Admiral of the fleet and attacks the Syndic homeworld and forces a ceasefire. The Syndic Executive Council attempts to use their own hypernet gate to destroy Geary's fleet, but are quickly overthrown by their own people. Immediately afterward, a Syndic system bordering the area of space occupied by the aliens arrives, claiming an evacuation ultimatum has been issued by the aliens. The aliens are dubbed the Enigma race because, despite a century of contact, not a single thing is known about them. Geary realizes that the aliens taking the systems would effectively condemn half of the system population to probable death, and elects to intervene. The alien armada arrives, apparently outnumbering Blackjack's fleet 3-1. After realizing the aliens are using their extensive computer worms on the Alliance, they find that the fleet actually outnumber the aliens 2-1. They've been trying to get them to go away for a while. And Geary destroys the alien fleet. Returning to Alliance space, Admiral Geary abdicates the Admiralty is what they're calling it here, awards himself a month of leave, and then races after Captain Giustiani and asks her to marry him. She accepts, and they go off to plan their wedding on the ship.
Yeah.
So they're getting married. That way they can be together. While he's still so like he had to get rid of his admiral. He had to stop being the admiral and become just a regular captain. Ask her to marry him, and then when he gets his promotion again, it'll be okay.
Yeah, because they're already married, you're allowed to then obviously stay in a relationship. You can't then date, go up, blah blah blah. Camera keeps fogging me out.
And her honor is still intact.
Yeah, until he sorts her out later. Anyway.
All right, so Karl, go ahead with the spoilers. You're good.
Oh, yeah. I've been biting my lip all this time as we've done the speculation, and now we're finally here, back home, made it, and the Enigma race. And yeah, the long game of setting us up for Series 2 there. The syndicates. Yeah, there was just so much good stuff that happened in this book. But at the same time, like it really flew by, right? Like, we had the opening scene where Blackjack still very much had his faith in the Alliance, and yet everybody who he's kind of like won over to back him, he had, what was it, General Carabali? Is that the Marine now general?
Yeah, it was. He was a major, wasn't he? Major, then went up to general.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was like
and she sent out her honor guard, and Blackjack just didn't even believe it would be possible that they would try to preemptively arrest him. And sure enough, they show up.
Yep.
And co-president Rion made a point of not coaching him because she just wanted him to be genuine, and just like how it really played to his favor, because he's like, hey, I'm here to do what I'm supposed to do, citizen of the Alliance, report in. Yeah, and all the politics, everything else.
I did like that, like how it all first went on, how they're sort of discussing, and you kind of knew they was going to make him in charge. He then become admiral, and then he didn't want to do it. He made it so he doesn't have to, and then he realised that obviously politicians lie, and they'll just make him back into an admiral as of when they're choosing, which is quite. I like that. I mean, whatever.
Yeah.
What I liked, I know it's skipping a bit, but like the way how the syndics fell apart. And it's not just like new people took over. The syndics are in chaos. They're just going to splinter, change names. Like I obviously haven't read the next book, so I don't know what's happening. But if they all rebrand and just become the same old but rebrand, that'd be quite annoying. I like the idea of them splintering, and becoming their own little tribes.
Mm-hmm.
They've all been tarnished, not tarnished, but they've all been just abused, haven't they? Like, why do you want to be under a new banner but same people?
Right.
Yeah, a bunch of fractional governments.
Yeah, 100 years of war.
Alliance, couldn't they?
Well, I think the Alliance was right there too. And we're starting to surmise that that's probably what the Enigma race wanted to soften them up. Because at the end there we had the fight for, is it Midway?
Midway.
Does that sound right?
Yeah.
Where once they take that over, there's then 8 additional solar systems or whatever, stars they can go to, and just like everything that's involved there. So they need to hold them at that choke point.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought it was very clever how, I don't want to say manipulated it, but how Blackjack kind of had to figure out the way to win over and get the buy-in, right? Because we also have the new additions added to the fleet, so he's kind of having to work through those dynamics as well. But has a bit of his success and everything behind him to win him over. But it's like, yeah, no, I'm going to tell you how this is, even though I'm not a dictator. I'm going to be a dictator in this situation, and this is our plan of action. This is what we're going to do. And no, we're not defending the syndics. We're defending humanity. Yeah. And then with the politicians, the +2 there, that adds some comedic relief for me, just seeing how their interactions trying to play. Yeah. The fleet and everybody. Was it not? Is it Casca maybe?
Yeah, starts with a K.
And then the gentleman, I forget his name.
Boyens? No, Boyens was a different guy.
No, yeah, I think that was the syndicate.
Yeah, he was a syndic guy.
But yeah, the other male politician, just kind of like their way to try to maneuver. Sakai, there you go. And just like their flattery, he tries to use flattery to win them over, where the other one was just
Well, that's because he's from the same system.
That's right.
As Dijon and a lot of the Dauntless crew, because they all come from that area and stuff. Which doesn't work because they're all past, they don't like politicians.
Yeah.
I like how. Oh God, no! Keep saying we don't talk about the area.
We probably would all hate politicians too if we'd been locked in a 100-year war.
Yeah. Absolutely. Just treat it as numbers thrown into battle.
So, what do you guys think of the series overall as a full series?
I liked it. Like, there's obviously the issues, which was about the other videos. We're not dwell on them really, but like, I liked it. Like, and the ending, it finished and tied everything up. It set the stage for something else to happen. Obviously, there's our books. We know something happens, but it wraps everything up. Everything prior to this is nigh on done, and the only two things you don't know about that they spoke about is Geary's nephew or great nephew, whether Michael, I think, if he's alive or not, and Ryan's husband. They're the only two you don't know whether they're alive or not. Which go on.
My guess would be the husband, yes. The nephew, no.
I think that's fitting because if he comes back, it's a bit too like what happened to Geary, as well as takes his sacrifice away. So I think it would actually be nice for Ryan as a character to get her, husband back, because it sort of completes her whole. Because she went through quite a bit, got with Geary, found out he might be alive, and then she had a whole panic attack and freak out. But then, I kind of feel, because in the end, she was quite nice, like really nice. Like a lot of the childishness really wasn't in this one. I think he must have had feedback on it and changed it, because she wasn't like her in this book and her in the last book are two different characters in a way that she doesn't act. She's trying to be nice. She's obviously trying to be nice. That's why she's being different. But it just the way she was being with Dijon or whatever her name is, like, it was good. I liked how Dijon was getting annoyed that she was being nice, and she's like, "I'm actually trying. I'm being nice."
Oh man, that tension there with them. Yeah.
She's like, "Why do I keep agreeing with her? I hate her."
Right. And I think also. Oh, go ahead, Ramsey.
I was gonna say my thought could be maybe the other senators. She was like, "I'm just gonna," like she felt the loyalty to the fleet. And the other senators were like interlopers. And she was like, all right, these guys are my people, and I've got to like rein it back because I have to protect my people.
That was going to be my comment as well. From the author's perspective of just like the contrast between the two. She was with us and the newbies coming along. But yeah, she also has some of that political capital to where she knows the situation a lot better than the other two, and she's in good with all the captains and everything. So like when she's like, "Oh, don't worry, I can debrief them," or "Don't worry, like, I got this," she can kind of score points on both sides and be the politician that she is. Yeah.
It's definitely made her as a character evolve better. Being on the fleet, you know, like she's not so cold-hearted towards the military.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like she might not get on with all of them and stuff, but she understands and like everything they have to do. That the politicians just at home go, yeah, off you go and fight, and they're the ones who go off and fight. And you know, she's been in the thick of it, and like the last battle, both of the senators, the other one was pro-fighting, and the other one wasn't. But then both of them at the end were like, no, let's not fight. And Ryan's like, no, we got to do it. Let's go. Because she's been there, like, you know, she knows, and they're trying to, you know, look after their own arse. And it's, you know, she's like, no, like, you know, she's in it with the fleet, and that's, you know, them other two. Well,
and she has for a while. Like she no longer has that several star system away view of what's going on. Like she's been on the front line, those life and death situations where our two newbies haven't. But she also, I think, like it's been a journey for her to kind of really trust that Gary is who he is.
Yeah, he's genuine.
And like she saw that and expressed it, especially when they got back to the fleet, because she's like, yeah, like there's still that doubt, but you know, he's so genuine that like she speaks up on his behalf and puts everyone else at ease, saying no, like the thought didn't even cross his mind. I think it was whoever the main chair was like, wow, you know, our ancestors really are here, and put in perspective how much of a major mistake this could have been if we truly did just arrest you right there. And could have been like the, you know, instead of syndics, it could have been the alliance that imploded. Even with all the different factions in the fleet, those that didn't want to overthrow the government, their loyalty to Blackjack at this point, they probably would have jumped on board, and then what? Like
because of their dislike to the politicians and them doing that, just to him in general, whether even they did it to anyone else, probably could have tipped them because they have no love for the politicians, and then also doing it to the guy who's saved everyone.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I had a cold, and that's why I've got I still got like tickly throat. When I talk too much, I have to cough.
Dude, here the pollen has gotten nuts, and like I walked outside earlier, and it was like yellow dust everywhere.
Oh, nice.
And so like my head is like,
I was really bad last week. I just felt heavy. I just snot and gunk. It's just horrendous. Headaches, dying, sleeping, and I think that was Thursday. I got that, and so like from Thursday to today, like these last 2 days, I've been okay. But I've been terrible. Like my throat's just tiggly, so every time I like get a bit dry, I'm like, I'm gonna cough. I'm dying. I actually thought I had corona, to be honest. I got a test. I haven't. I had a good old cold. That's nothing fun.
I don't know about fun.
My favorite part was definitely where they went through and they looked at what Geary would do and what the everybody else they were used to would do, and the Marines actually going and taking it upon themselves. He didn't ask them to, but the Marines actually were like, we understand that you're in danger. We want to protect you at the beginning of the book.
Yes.
From his own government.
Yes.
So like the level of loyalty he created was pretty awesome. And it's cool to see how that happened. And then it was cool to see that they got to finally kill the guy who created all this when they destroyed the Syndic fleet. And
that guy at the end, yeah. I forgot all about him, to be honest. Like, because, the story went on, and then when it come back, and he's like, oh, that's the guy from the beginning. I was like, oh, yeah, that's it. The one who was all smug at the beginning.
It's one of the many reasons why I really enjoy this series. We've talked that every series has its flaws. And I'm a big sci-fi fan to begin with, but for me, like this book in a lot of ways is really about leadership, because we see it through the perspective of Blackjack, coming back after his 100-year slumber with his old values and those constantly being tested and challenged and everything. And through all the trials and tribulations to where like he develops that loyalty. right? Like he had very few people in his camp to begin with, and then by the end of book 6, you know, he holds to his values, he holds to his ethics, he really believes in his cause, and he wins over others along the way, or convinces others that, like, hey, even if you don't believe in like
the name, believe in the actions.
yeah, like I can get us there, and the fleet is that much better for it. So
What do you think to the new people? There was that new one who had a bit of a breakdown, didn't he? It was a he. Gives it a K. K-A-T-T something. What was it?
Yeah.
yeah, the one that supposedly served with begins with a T, one of Gary's Tulev's, yeah.
Tulev, that's it, yeah.
Served with Tulev, and that kind of like snapped there. Was he the one that was cleaning his firearm?
Shot himself, cleaning the gun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know. Granted, this was a reread for me, but sometimes, you know, I think like the author, it's like blatantly obvious. Like I feel like almost every one of these books, we kind of have a bit of a pattern where there always has to be that one captain that, you know,
has to go against orders or cause the same sort of he did feel a bit shoehorned in, but it wasn't to the same way that the other lot was. He wasn't trying to replace the ones before who were always arguing against him. He was a bit different, you know. He was like, come on. He wanted to prove himself, because the reason why he wanted to prove himself is because he had doubt in his own head.
Mm-hmm.
Because obviously beforehand, so like, you know, he got in there, and then because of the old ways of rushing and killing yourselves, but then he didn't want to. He changed his mind, and it's not
our fighting
his fault
spirit
for doing it.
Mm-hmm.
But he got 2 other ships crew worth died or killed or whatever it was, and you know, then there's the whole shame and the honor and all that rubbish that they've all got, and then the gun slipped in his mouth and he accidentally shot himself.
Well, I think they're going to deal with a lot of that in the next series too, when they have new guys come in. It's, you know, he's got 100 years of conditioning that he really had to beat out of his people in, you know, 6 books. And so we're going to get new people. You know, we're going to go back again. We're going to get new people again. And he's going to be, you know, he's going to have his dedicated guys, or guys and girls that are ship captains, but everybody new is going to be like, oh, well, why we're not voting? We're going to fight that again. That's stupid.
Well, the problem he's got is usually people get trained, but obviously they're trained, brought up, and come in. He needs to train people who are just dedicated to training.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So he can't pull out the serving people now, send them to train the new people, because he needs them to fight. So he's got to somehow train the fleet that he's got existing, and then train trainers who are going to train the new lot. You know, it's it's very hard. But then the thing is, though, they've got all the old ways of fighting and doing everything. So if they just dig it all up, bring all that old history up, and be like, "This is what you got to do." Show the new trainers, and then the new trainers will be like, "Okay." As long as they get told that's how we have to train people, they can then start trying to teach people to do that. It's going to be interesting, because I know the next book, I think he gets pulled out of retirement, so he's not actually actively going. So it's going to be interesting how
we suspect that he has his promotion waiting for him, right? Like he intentionally didn't check his messages, because then he's not disobeying orders. Yet we had Rion help him get his message, which just shows that she's knows more than we think she knows.
Oh, definitely.
But yeah, in addition to all the stuff with the Alliance that we'll have to deal with in the next series, we also have the 100 Years of War and dealing with the syndicates, right? Like here in this book, we were dealing with how they were going to try to fight side by side with the syndicates. And they're like, there's a very real possibility people will intentionally or accidentally fire on each other because of 100 years of war, right? Like in the heat of the moment, accidents happen. So
And then they've got that long process of trying to get all the prisoners of war back.
Yes, yes,
On
and
both
dealing
sides.
with the damage and already strained resources, like the current ships. Like we got a new class of ships in this book
Sorry.
that
and
supposedly is
they were
like
awful.
yeah. All while now we have this superior, technologically advanced race of enigmas as we deal with really bad technology on our end.
I liked how they didn't show what the aliens looked like. They kept that, they had a fight. They showed that Alliance can go up against them, so it's not going to be just an overwhelming fight. So they can fight them. They've got obviously technical, they've got faster maneuvering capabilities, and they've got other things that they can do. But the thing is, obviously I know you know, but you can't count the aliens out, because the only reason why they got caught out is because they didn't realize that they knew that the rest were like fake ships. So if they know next time they can't rely on that, they've got other methods I'm sure they can do. If they just use their speed, because the fact that when they first clashed, they was able to turn around quicker and get moving before the other alliance could turn their ships around. So just by having that ability, they can get into a new position and hit them again while the alliance would still be trying to turn if they're at equal numbers, because the alliance in the end outnumbered them 2-1.
Right.
So an even fight could be still quite hard for the alliance. It's just going to come down to Geary doing his magical skills.
They could still outmaneuver them though, right? Like the way the ships move and everything.
That's what I'm saying,
Yeah.
Yeah, they could hit them, but not maneuver the same way they did. But they, when you noticed, they had a hard time adjusting to the fact that they figured out where their worms were, and that they had they didn't let them know that there were extra ships or whatever. I don't know if I'm making sense there, but they projected that they had a bunch of ships when they didn't, and then they had a hard time coming back from, oh well, they actually know which ships are real, which ones are fake. So maybe that'll be something, a bit of a struggle where they have to they're so used to faking you out computer wise. Geary's probably going to have an advantage meeting those alien captains. And man, they're vicious too. Like they kill their own people. They will not let their people get captured. Like they're trying to capture those ships that they destroyed, and they're self-destructive.
Right. I did like how they had the aliens were very territorial in the way they are, that they look at it as their territory, and that's why they're doing it. They're not doing it because they want the land for resources or doing it for that. They're doing it because it's in their mind, it's theirs, and you're in my territory. And the fact that Geary and them like to say, no, this is humanity's territory, so they understand that they're fighting the same reason why they're fighting. So that could, in theory, bring to the table. I'm interested.
Yeah, me too. And the covers are better. I mean,
yeah.
Let me grab my cover, because my cover is different to that.
That's the book 6, and then this is the next series.
Yeah.
So they definitely put some more money in the covers.
See, that's so it's Dreadnought's the next one. It's Beyond the Frontier. Is it Beyond the Frontier?
Beyond the Frontier, yeah.
So this is my cover.
Okay. So they went with the same idea basically. They just added Beyond the Frontier to it. The cool thing about Dreadnought is that's his niece's ship.
Jane.
Yeah, Jane Geary.
That was an interesting family reunion, right?
It kind of worked out.
Yeah, I like that. And I'm glad it worked. There's no reason for Jane to actually hate him, because he hasn't actually done anything. It's not his fault. The Alliance made him, or made the name up.
Yeah. Well, I think the name, he already had the nickname.
Yeah, but as in built the whole thing up.
Right.
But I didn't they describe what the nickname was? And it was like something kind of stupid, where it's like he didn't like wear the right underwear.
Yeah, because he only got black marks or something that, and he's like, "Ha, I wish."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's funny. Kind of how like folklore happens, you know, it's like people think one thing and then it becomes something else entirely after a certain amount of time.
Well, it done that with the sayings, wasn't it? It's the singing. What was it? The singing witch. They called it.
Oh
Mm.
yeah.
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 The
That lady
witch
sings and
the witch
is
can
dead.
sing now.
That's it,
and
yeah.
they put them together.
Yeah. Well, maybe it's a singing witch, right?
Maybe, yeah. Well, why who is this fat lady? Like, I don't know who the fat lady is.
And they're like, yeah, I was so confused. And he's like, okay.
Yeah.
That's what happens
Yeah.
when you're a couple thousand years away from our society.
They
spoke about Earth a lot more in this book.
So I've heard it's part of the series, and eventually we go there for a little while.
Right.
Which one?
I know Genesis Earth. I know Genesis Fleet. I think Genesis Fleet starts at Earth, and that's Geary's grandpa. But that's like the 4th or 5th series in, so it'd be a long time before we get there.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't gotten that far. I've done the series after this and part of the one where you follow the syndicates at Midway.
Lost Stars.
Yeah.
Now
I enjoyed.
If you are an audiobook person and you don't want to pay for them, they're free on YouTube right now. Like, you can just listen to them.
Oh, nice.
I got halfway through this one, and I was like, oh, you know, I just need to listen to it at work, and so I just looked it up, and I found it on
that's how
YouTube.
you got it done so quick.
Oh yeah,
like, you smashed it out. Like, it was like, yeah, we're starting now, and then like a few days later, right, I'm done.
Yeah, I was really enjoying it, and then like day 2 or day 3, I was like, oh, I wonder if this is online, and popped up. You could speed it up to 2 times speed and everything.
Yeah.
Do that, you ruin it.
Just means you could listen to it twice in the same amount of time, catch what you missed.
I go back and like try to listen to 1 time speed, and it's like they're
so slow now.
Hello, what are you doing today?
Yes.
Like, I can't do it anymore.
Yeah. I was listening to this one on speaker while I was out on a walk, and just like all the weird looks I'm getting from people like, what? And it takes you a moment like, oh yeah.
Are you listening to some gibberish?
Right. Like, is that another language? Like, what?
Yeah. Is there anything in this that you felt was missing or needed? Because you weren't overly 100% sold on it. Not sold on it, Ramsey, but kind of like you felt a bit.
I would have loved to get somebody else's perspective. Like, we get Geary only. It would be nice to kind of hear what the other people were doing. And I think he should have moved ships. Like, I understand that like the Dauntless was his flagship, but if he would have gone and been on Numos's ship, book 1, and been like, all right, I'm gonna lead from here, or go to a different ship, you know, and like kind of moved
people,
around.
New cast.
You could have got to know the captains better. You could have seen how disloyal they really were. Like, he basically got to know, and I don't know how this works in the Navy, like if a commander is, or an admiral or whatever, stays on one ship specifically, but I just feel like it would have given the opportunity to, number 1, meet more crew, more people, and number 2, to really kill the disloyalty. You know, he could have.
I think
he could have really spread out a bit.
What happens is the people get taken to the admiral. If you know, what I mean, like, I don't, unless they're on dry dock and they're docked up, then maybe he might go and inspect other ships. But while they're in action driving, you wouldn't want Admiral darting across or something happening to the pod, like what actually did happen, obviously, to the other lot. But I get what you're saying. It would, maybe like another character, maybe.
Yeah. Like, the fleet's so big, and we kind of get to know some of the captains, but in limited scopes, right? For the most part, it's Blackjack, Dejani, Rion.
Yes, they're the 3.
throughout the whole book and their love triangle.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm with you. I would have enjoyed additional point of view characters. Seeing more of the fleet, like even if he didn't move around, just like through the different fleets perspectives and everything, spending some time on the what do they call them, auxiliaries and everything. Like I think that could have been cool.
Even if it was like, a couple hundred words of just, this is how this person actually felt about the scenarios that they were going through.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if you had a few more one-on-one conversations with other captains, because it was always the same lot. Now, I like them, but he could have had a few more one-on-ones to get some more personal feelings, maybe, of like what that captain and for him and his or their crew, so you could get like an idea, maybe, because he obviously can't bounce around. If he can't leave his ship, he needs to talk to them. So just doing a one-on-one conversation.
Yeah. Maybe. I think they talked a little bit about that earlier in the series. I still stand by it would have been nice, but like I vaguely remember Dejani being like, you can't dishonor us, like we were the decided flagship or whatever, moving around. But yeah.
It would be cool to have seen. I know they were dealing with some fuel issues, but more war games and different scenarios where they could have trained, or he could have put different captains in charge or something, and just give them the ability to, once he realized he could trust his captains, like actually show what they could do. Create hammer and anvil pincher formations and stuff like that. Where, you'll see that in a lot of like fantasy where you have cavalry chargers, but we could easily do that with the ships too. I felt like there wasn't enough ship to ship combat. Like it happened pretty quickly and then it was over. Maybe one or two interactions per book.
Right. Yeah.
But I know you don't have unlimited ships to keep throwing, so I get that as well.
This is true. And he started to kind of pass the torch over to some of them. Like Dejani helped him with the assignments and delegating stuff out, and some of his other captains were like leading these other groups of ships as they go and do stuff. But yeah.
What about that captain in book 5 that they rescued that was like, I want my own command. Where's my ship?
Oh yeah, what happened to him?
Like I know Gary was like, until we get home and you're not getting a ship, but I wonder if in the next, if he comes up and he's like
hey,
like you wouldn't give me my ship when I asked for a ship.
Yeah.
But like after Falco, no way he's giving a ship to a guy who's been a POW.
No more POWs get ships.
Right. Yeah. It'll be interesting. All in all, I like how they wrapped up the series. We had a lot of good moments towards the end there. Like at the beginning of the book, here we are, we've made it back. We're going back out, refuel, get to kind of see some of the politics and stuff there. We have our big final syndicate battle, coming full circle back to where we opened up the series, cap that off, and then go to Midway to set us up for the next one. And then, as honorable as our boy is, like when Rion at the end is like, hey, you really need to look at this, blah, blah, blah. It's like, oh, I'm clueless. Why is she doing this? So on and so forth. And then like, as all the fleet guys kind of like rally around them to put it all together, like the emergency transport shows up, and then the baggage at the end that's conveniently there, and like it's like, oh no, I need to get there, what can I do? And the shuttle pilot's like, well, If there's an
I
emergency,
can have an emergency. Yeah.
it's like,
And
well,
then the soldiers that see
Whole
him,
breach. You
and
do a
they
whole
and they
breach.
create
yes.
a V formation as they
Yeah,
run through.
they'll link arms. Like,
Yeah, yeah. So
We got to get Geary out here.
yep,
Yeah, it was kind of cool.
yep. Yeah, a lot of feel goods.
It was like the end of a movie for sure.
yeah, definitely had that
Absolutely.
feeling, didn't it?
Absolutely. And then they sail off into the sunset as they have their wedding.
Can you imagine when she gets home? She's like, "Mom and Dad, this is Blackjack Geary, and we're married."
Right?
Hey,
Right.
yeah, I married him. Hey, we fought aliens as well.
Yeah, I told you
You're
nothing
cheating
about
on
it.
Dauntless with Blackjack? What? Yeah. Definitely make from some interesting moments in the next series.
Yeah.
I've got to ask: do they? Is it just Geary? Is it just Geary's point of view in the next one, or is there other people? If there's other people, just other people, but don't tell us. But is it just
yeah, from what I remember, it's very much the same.
Yeah.
It's pretty much just a continuation
Same
of a lot of
cast
what he's
sort of
already
situation.
done. Very similar formula. So some of his other books that I've read, we do get multiple point of view characters. But I believe this was just like so early in Jack Campbell's career. And like even now, like we can clearly see the difference between book 6 and book 1 on his writing style and how he handles stuff. Like there's still little things that you're like, yeah, okay, really, but like nothing that completely ruined the story for me.
No, I agree. Cool. Right. Anyone? Have you got anything else? Should we talk about? Do you want to talk about what you think the next one's about, or is it a bit obvious, really? And I suppose we're fighting aliens, isn't it?
I can read you the blurb.
Yeah, go on then.
The war may be over, but Geary and his newly christened First Fleet have been ordered back into action to investigate the aliens occupying the far side of Syndic space, and to determine just how much of the threat they represent to the Alliance. And while the Syndic worlds are no longer united, individually they may be more dangerous than ever before. Geary knows that members of the military high command and the government question his loyalty to the Alliance and fear his staging of a coup. So he can't help but wonder if the fleet is being deliberately sent on a suicide mission.
That's interesting. That's completely different to my blurb. I can't read it out because my throat will cough reading that much. I don't know. I'll show you. I don't know if you can actually...
It says suicide mission.
Yeah, but
man, those eyes.
Tom Cruise up there.
Yeah.
See that? Like, there's a lot more
intense.
Completely different.
I always find it interesting the difference between like the UK and the US versions.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think what it is, I think UK they show more of a scene going on, and US they show an individual. I think that's maybe I might. I know there's something. They're two different art styles.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to hear the reasoning behind all that sometime.
Because Brandon Sanderson, he had that. Cause I saw him talking about it in one of his things. Because Starsight, or whatever the whatever one is, whatever those books are called, they've got two different covers, and people preferred the UK one. But
I like the UK art a lot more.
But what that's the thing.
I don't. It feels white and washed out on Sanderson stuff. Like I like the especially Stormlight Archive. Like those covers are like full of color and very vibrant. Like I personally like them a lot more. I mean, the Mistborn covers weren't great, but
yeah,
I don't like the new covers any better.
Fair enough.
There you go.
But I hear that a lot. A lot of people like the UK covers.
Yeah,
covers. I'm like, no, US covers.
That's what it's just because he's a patriot. You know what I mean? US actor. Yeah, he's put covers of God of War over that now, isn't it? Christ. Yeah. Right. So, is everyone happy? Is there anything else you want to talk about before we wrap this up?
I'm good. We're on which channel next time?
Rotation wise, I think it's us this time. You were last time, right, Ramsey?
I was book 5, I believe. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, as always, the 24/7 live book discussion is going on Ramsey's channel. Hop on Discord. and watch all our socials for the next date.
And now that we are done, I will put a whole playlist together. I did a Should You Read Lost Slate series, and I believe I reviewed Dauntless, and then whatever reviews you guys have done on the series, and then I'll put all the lives in there as well.
I've done
so
that.
The playlist will have everything.
I've got all of mine in one section, all of our lives that we've done as well. So just nick them off of there. It's easy enough. Okay. Right, gonna love you and leave you. Thank you, people watching. We've had a few pop in and out. Goodbye.